I try to keep the backwards roll a little longer and the front a little shorter. But it's, yogi's choice or teacher's choice. And then we'll inhale the arms coming up. We'll reverse our hands overhead. Bring the backs of our hands to the crown of our head and push the crown up, making the back of our neck long, keeping the chin parallel to the floor, helping find space between each vertebrae in our spine. We'll inhale, arms come up again. And exhale one more time on the crown of our head. And we'll gently bring our arms by our side. And then inhale, everything comes up. Bringing your left arm forward, right arm back. Coming into a gentle twist. You'll notice today we're doing a few seated twists. Before I have you go straight into the twist, I'll always have you inhale your arms up to the sky, finding that length and space in your spine and your vertebrae. Making sure your shoulders are not hugging your ears. And then inhaling everything up again. And exhaling back down. Maybe placing your hands on either knee, coming up, rolling the chest forward on the inhale, and rounding the spine on the exhale. Inhale, chest comes forward, shoulders down, looking up. And exhale, rolling back. It's like a cat-cow, just seated. Inhale, coming forward. And exhale, rolling back. One more time, we'll lift our arms all the way up. We'll grab the top of our head with our left arm, and then place our right arm behind our back, pulling our head to the left. Yeah, now you guys know the mirroring aspect of practice. Let's inhale, both arms coming up. Right arm comes over your head, left arm behind back, leaning to the right. On your inhale, unwind your arms, come back to center, and just do a few neck rolls at your own pace. And then gently coming to hands and knees on all fours, tabletop position. Just spend a few moments with cat-cow, connecting breath to movement. Inhaling, belly comes down, chest expands, slightly looking up. And exhaling, rounding the spine, belly toward, navel towards spine, looking between your heels. Inhale, chest expands, slightly looking up. And when we look up, we don't want to get too much of a crunch in our spine. We want to keep that natural curve. And then exhaling, belly towards spine. Do it a couple times, finding your own breath rhythm. Figuring out your own body today. The body's going to be different from day to day. Adding a few hip circles or dipping your hips side to side. That feels good for you. Ironing out any cobwebs from the night before. And then when you're feeling complete here, coming into stillness, tucking your toes and pressing up into a downward facing dog. Heels aspiring towards the floor, tailbone towards the floor. All 10 knuckles of your palm are flat and firm on the ground. Your triceps are rolling in. There's a micro bend in your elbows. Shoulders away from ears. Maybe you bend one knee, bend the other knee. Getting a nice stretch in your calf muscles, waking up the lower limbs, waking up the toes. And then on your next inhale, just walk your feet up to meet your hands. Coming into a forward fold, Uttanasana. Making sure all four corners of the feet are firmly planted in the ground. You have that imaginary line parallel to each other. That's on the one on your foot, facing forward. Your quadriceps are engaged. There's a micro bend in your knees. Maybe holding onto the elbows, shaking your head yes and no to release any tension in the neck. Maybe even fluttering your lips here. Releasing any tension in your jaw. And then on your next inhale, circling your arms up overhead. Urdhva Hastasana. And exhaling into Tadasana. Maybe closing your eyes here for a moment. Feeling how your body feels now that we're standing, now that we've gotten moving. And we'll do one round of Surya Namaskar here. So inhaling, arms come up. Exhaling, arms, hands down towards your feet, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step the right foot back and step the left foot back. Come into plank pose. And then knees, chest, chin. Upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. We'll do one breath here. And on your next inhale, step the right foot up. Step the left foot up. Uttanasana. Inhaling, arms coming all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. And exhaling, Tadasana. Inhaling onto the left side. Exhale, hands towards your feet, tailbone facing the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands on the floor. Step your left foot back. Step your right foot back. Plank pose. And then exhaling, knees, chest, chin. Inhaling, upward facing dog. And exhale, down dog. We'll inhale, stepping the left leg up. Stepping the right leg up. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhaling, coming all the way up to Urdhva Hastasana. And exhaling, arms by your side, having another moment in your Tadasana. Feeling that prana already starting to flow. All right, from here, put the music down. We're going to make our way onto our sit bones. We're going to start with Dandasana. And this Dandasana is basically the Tadasana of the seated poses. And you'll notice here, you're going to have many of the same actions that you have in Tadasana. Your thighs will be rolling in. Your feet will be flexed, pointing the ceiling. And in Dandasana, it's really helpful. I think Pee Wee even talked about it yesterday. Removing the flesh from underneath your sit bones to help you really feel the sit bones so you're not dumping or rounding in your spine. And then we're going to have a tall line with our spine, reaching up, long neck in the back, chin parallel to the floor. Does that sound familiar to Tadasana upper body, Tadasana lower body? We're just sitting here. And then your hands will lightly be by your side, touching the floor. Rolling your shoulders back and down. Chest isn't too puffed. Rib cage is in. Core is slightly engaged. And this is Dandasana, staff pose. And I want to show you, what if you have a student who's sitting like this and can't sit straight and tall? Does anyone have an idea of how to remedy this or get them in the pose? Against the wall is a great idea. Yeah, you can definitely have people practice against the wall. But what if we don't have a wall? Bend the knees could help. I think in this pose, we want to try to keep our knees as straight as possible. Yeah, we'll put something underneath. So props, props, props. I don't know if I couldn't hear in the back row. So props, props, props. You can take a cushion, take a block. Maybe I'll show with a cushion. Let's just show the difference. And this prop, yeah, thank you. Blocks will probably be more accessible. Just place them on a block. And that should help get that more anterior tilt of the pelvis coming forward. Because if they can't sit up straight, they're dumping backwards, right? The flower pot is pointing this way. So the block will just help them sit straight and tall. And they might just need to put their fingertips on the floor. But you still get the same effect. Now you just have a straight spine. Yes? Chin? Chin is parallel to the floor. So it's just like Tadasana. You have that long neck in your spine, parallel to the floor. The crown, you have that string on the top of your head pulling you upwards. Bring the chin. And so that'd be Jalandhara Bandha. Yeah, that's more practice Ashtanga. I'm teaching you the chin. Yeah. Different theories, different practices, different ways to do it. All right, they got a thumbs up. That one, do we need to do partner work on that one? We can move on to the next. All right, so this next one is Janu Shirsasana, and it's a head to knee pose, and it's horribly named because you're not trying to get your head to the knee, and it misleads people. You more so want to get your head, and it's hardly going to be possible, but you want to get your head towards your toes. Heads towards knee is just going to make people start bending their back automatically. And The point pretty much of all these poses is to elongate the spine and keep a straight, flat back coming forward. So maybe I'll show Nord, can you come? So we're starting in Dandasana. He's going to slowly and mindfully pull up through the hamstring and rotate out, bending his knee, rotating out through the hip. You always want to make sure, I always encourage people to use their hip to turn because you don't want to ever be twisting with your shin. So you want to rotate up with the upper thigh. So what rotation do you think this thigh is going to be? Internal or external? So we're externally rotating this out. The heel is as close to the groin as possible. Right. And then so his right foot is firmly pushing into his left thigh, and his left thigh is doing the same. So he's very engaged here. His toes are facing the ceiling. And then, Nord, you're going to inhale your arms up. And then exhale, reaching forward. So for the most part, I'm going to say, Nord, maybe come back just a little bit. We want to keep a flat, straight back. And there's two things you can do if we don't have a flat back. One is, let's see, I'll grab you a strap. Let's use straps. Again, props, props, props. Place a strap around the ball of our foot. Hold either side. And then he's pulling forward. And you see that he has his back is flat and he's working on kind of through the core, reaching over rather than hunching up top, creating the bend. And you're eventually going to start hurting your shoulders and upper back if you do this. So he can use the strap, pull forward. Or the second option, you can release the strap. If you don't have a strap, in this pose you can put a slight bend in your knee. Oh, hold on, you're going to put a slight, pick your knee, shin, heel back. Yep. And then he'll lift up his arms. And then exhaling, bending at the hip. Yep. And then, so this is where his spine goes. Can you straighten out at all from here? Are you able to straighten the leg at all? And then, do you see he was able to get a little bit farther after bending the knee and then coming over? And you might have some people that won't be able to straighten the knee at all, and that's okay too. And if you saw him, Nord, you want to use that? You saw him you can put something under the knee to help give it a little bit of support while you're working towards straight legs. And notice, yep, his feet are completely flexed, facing the ceiling. And something I can show you on me. Something you want to try to do is really push the ball of the foot, because with a lot of these poses, our instep is, a lot of people have a shorter instep. So you just want to draw attention to the ball of your foot, pushing it down, helping even out. Thank you, Nord.
Thank you.
And I'll just show you real quick with the instep. So if it's in my groin, I'm inhaling up and exhaling. I like to almost use my hand to help push the ball of the foot down, and it'll really help even out my foot, keeping kind of the imaginary four corners against an imaginary wall. Does that make sense? And then something I didn't mention, you want to make sure you keep your navel over your thigh. So it's kind of a slight twist here. You'll kind of push, you can push your right hand on your right knee, getting a little bit of a lift with this hand. Maybe inhaling the arm up, and then reaching forward. And then eventually there's different arm variations, the strap, grabbing here, touching the toe, or eventually holding the wrist. All right. I'm going to have you break out into partners just so you can help guide each other through the different steps, the different variations. And Nord and I will be here for any questions. Yes. Okay. All right. Go for it. No, that's just kind of correcting and guiding and figuring it out together. I just want the partners to get used to watching bodies and different bodies do it. Also, please don't be shy. Come up and grab a strap if you need, or if you want to just try different variations and see how it feels. Highly recommend. Partner, oh, do we not, and is not everyone not here today? 33? Okay, maybe just start working in a group of 3 with someone nearby. I just want you guys to get visuals of how different bodies work within these poses. Something that's really helpful when working with the strap is that it helps keep your chest expanded. I saw you guys doing that. I wanted to make a note. Hey.
Or is their legs supposed to be 90 or is it like out? Like at a diet?
Yeah, it's slightly out. It's slightly out. It's slightly out, and then you have that slight rotation of the navel coming over.
Okay. So, and then her back seems to be flat, right?
Yeah, and I think that's pretty flat for a spine. Yeah. So, actually, it's open this way. So you're twisting open rather than staying straight. Let me say, I took this from Pee Wee's Stickmen. She had a couple errors. I might have not caught it. Let me see. Wait, where did the straps? Oh, Nord took them. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I had no idea he moved them.
Yeah, I took them off of camera so people are more confident.
Yeah, that makes. Thank you. It's the same. I looked them both
The same
up.
thing,
Yeah,
right?
it means the same. They're
Okay.
both. And then.
Because I was asking them, I'm looking for a twist. Where's the twist? Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm always looking things up as well.
Yeah, me too. Oh,
And
it's hardly fun. Now your back is more straight.
I would keep the foot flexing up, kind of like you're standing on a wall.
If we are not,
Bending your back low, so it's kind of like
Yep, and that's yep, exactly.
it's not that.
As for yeah, so what I say, we're mostly trying to get our head and chest, our chest to our knee, and our head over our foot. What-
So it's better to pull the strap back further to keep the shoulders.
Exactly, yeah, and that really opens and broadens the shoulders. It's so much better than crunching and then like
Yeah, or trying to do this and
exactly. Yeah, nice find.
how can I assist folding from the lower back, not from the upper back?
Yeah, let's see.
Sorry.
I'd almost prop them up a little bit more. I'd get a cushion, maybe this cushion.
Because I put two blocks and two blocks are unstable.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely bend the straight leg. How does this leg feel coming in?
I don't have much motion
And-
in this.
You know what? So this one, how are your knees?
They only have like 2 inches of range of motion. Like when we did the test,
Right.
my foot turns, my knee
Mhm.
turns.
It's not the rotate. It's more of the rotation of
Oh.
your hip. It's definitely rotation of your hip, not your knee. Yep, and then that'll help support you.
Okay.
Okay. And then so let's see. Let's get you on a cushion. Do you feel like that's enough? Where did you find your Dandasana? The Dandasana was staff pose. Were you sitting on a lot of props there, or were you able to find straight
When
back?
did we do that?
That was the very first one, and
Oh, today?
yeah,
Um,
this one. Yeah. So just wherever you can find a flat back here is the props you're going to use for your Janu Shirshasana. So I'd say maybe I'll put you a block under the cushion.
Because men naturally have.
Yeah, this one's, yep.
so I would bring all this stuff to like a yoga class. Or,
Hopefully they have this, but this is more of an alignment breakdown. Is just to know what your body needs. Yeah. So inhaling up and then exhale forward. I'd also use a strap. Yep. I would just almost work sitting up.
It's not about how far you can get. We all think in our heads.
now I just have too much shit.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Hang some ornaments from it.
Here, you want me to help you? I'll get the. Okay. And just really bend the elbows and start. Yep. And that's kind of where you're going to work. That's exactly the perfect start. Do you feel the difference though in your back and the opening in your chest? That's where we want to go. And then once your hips and hamstrings start opening, you'll start being able to bend forward. Yep, because then, whoop,
Yeah. We
it's
think
gone.
in our heads, we think it's about reaching the toe.
Yeah.
It's about getting your body using as many props as possible to put your,
I've been using
give you
props for years,
space.
Jason.
I still use props. I love them.
So if someone doesn't have a strap and they're like they can't reach their toe, where should they go?
I would just kind of have them hang out sitting up or just like use their core to hold them up. Um, Nord, can we go there? I'm going over there. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I mean, paribrita, it doesn't mean twist.
Right, Nord and I were having this discussion. It's either parjva or paravita. It's kind of like an open twist. If so this is the normal way, belly forward. You are twisting forward and going to the side.
What's the name?
Janu, to it's head to knee pose. So Shirshasana is head, and so it'd be knee. Janu is knee.
Okay.
Let me just double check that. I want to make sure. Yeah, it's knee.
Where are you from?
California, but my dad's Saudi. So yeah, so I'm half.
From Arabia Saudi.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you are the one with the kiddies, right?
Yes, I
I'm the
am.
one that tell you
Okay,
that
thank
I
you.
bring to the some
Thank you so much. Pee Wee just texted me and said she'll take one of them. I'm so excited. I'll make a little announcement reminding everyone I have kitties. But we already have we have our two cats, and we bring the little kitties in, or Aaron brought them in, and they were just like got really afraid, and we're like, oh, we can't keep them, and we can't keep them long term.
You know what I want to tell you too? I used to have marks in my face, and they disappeared with cacao.
Really?
Butter. See, this takes like 6 months, but I try everything, vitamin C, because I did a flip in a trampoline, and I take all the skin away. So I used to have a black spot, like really bad, that I have to put like yours.
And
I
cacao
can't even
took it?
notice. But because that happened to me, I noticed like yours you cannot notice, but if you put cacao every night and they disappear.
Wow.
Like even these marks for like pimpling, they it have something
Cacao
that
is
makes
wondrous.
cacao butter. I think you can
Yeah.
find it here, and it is something that don't affect. Vitamin E helps too.
Yeah, I'm allergic to vitamin E.
I don't know, so try the cacao.
Yeah, I get really rashy.
Okay.
I remember when I first got here, I used a sunscreen. It was a more natural one with vitamin E. It was like my first day in Bali. My skin just like broke out, and I was like, "Is it the water? What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I use vitamin E."
But try that one.
Okay.
Send the energy like okay, you can go away.
Cool. Thank you.
You're beautiful.
Are you noticing my right here is dark?
Today you have it really clear.
Yeah.
But the 3 days I know that
Right here.
it makes me remember more.
Ah, I see.
That's why
This-
I know.
I'm not sure. This is more of like a birthmark that gets darker when I tan. I've had it since it's always been a little red, but that's a good tip. I think they're just freckles, but I can like they're getting a lot darker since I've been in Bali.
Yeah, some songs make weird things. But when
Yeah.
I go to Puerto Rico, I get like different things in my face. But in Dominican Republic, the island by the side, nothing happens. So I'm like, what it is?
Thank you so much. I've never heard cacao. Yeah.
So like that, it's okay. I mean, if this doesn't touch the floor and then it keeps it's a bit rotated, it's okay, no?
Navel kind of aiming to be over the thigh. And I would recommend using both arms for the strap, because if you use this, it closes your shoulders. So having to using both ends of the
And
strap.
the hip, it's okay if it's like that.
Yeah, it'll start. You want it more? It'll naturally open. Naturally open, and then you want to rotate your chest over
So it's
your
like
knee.
that. Okay. So like that will be okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we're going to get started on the next seated pose. It's another form of Janu Sirsasana, so you'll be able to continue working in this position, but I just want to show you real quick how to do the next one. And this one is Paravita or Parjva. It's either one, and it's twisted or side, and I'll show you why. Janu Sirsasana. So you start here in Dandasana. You pull out, externally rotating the thigh, drawing your groin to your crotch. Same setup. But instead of coming forward, we're going to be opening our chest to the side. And then let's say I'm using my left leg's extended, so I'll be using my left arm. We'll start kind of creeping on our leg as you're opening the chest and reaching towards the big toe and elbow towards the ground. You want to make sure then this arm might come up and start going overhead. Maybe almost reaching the foot, maybe reaching the foot. But as soon as you go here, and maybe this is kind of where you live, maybe this is where you live. Again, you can use a strap, and for the Janu Sirsasana, the original, you'll use the strap with both hands so you can open and expand your chest. This one might be more beneficial to use one hand so you can kind of pull down, reach up. But when you're reaching up, as soon as you start collapsing your chest, you've gone too far. You want to keep everything open. And what helps, if you're kind of just hanging out here, you're like, oh, my arm's tired. You can put your hand on the back of your head, helping bring your elbow back, expanding your chest here. And then if you are kind of going towards the floor, keeping a straight arm, pinky rotated down. And then if you go even farther, grabbing hold of both. I think that's all I have to say on that one. Yeah.
Another arm variation be like keeping the length, keeping your shoulder back, but
Yes, you're right. That is another variation. So let me show that one. So we're grabbing here, reaching up, and then you can also reach behind you. Maybe your hand's coming towards the thigh. Maybe it's coming into your thigh crease and helping roll the leg out a little bit. Thank you, Lucy. Yeah.
And what helps you to open the chest further to the side is to push where you have the lower arm at the inside of the leg, and then push your arm towards the leg, and then this helps you open the chest to the side.
Very, very great point. Yes, when it comes to twist, using gravity, using our body as a lever, using our arms as levers at different points. So Selena mentioned, expanding the chest by pushing the elbow into the knee. All right, you can continue practicing that one for just a little bit longer, and we'll be walking around with any questions. Got to do the other side. Whichever arm is extended up, you should really feel a long line of energy coming up through the hip all the way through the line, feeling a nice stretch in your pelvic region. Yeah. Right. Okay, then just keep it up here. And then what I'll do for you is place a block here to help give it some support. And then you'll kind of work there for now until your hips open, or maybe that's where you'll live because you really want to take care of your knees.
Okay, and then
I have a thought what might be the difference.
Yeah?
Please carry on.
Yep.
he just put it down.
Mhm. You know, then it could not, it might not be a pose for you then, because it has that extreme bend of the knee.
The other side's okay. Have to be there.
The yeah, you can
Instead of bending it,
yeah, you can yeah, that's another pose completely, but I think that might be for you too, you know, or just know your body and practice that whenever there's Jani Shirshasana.
You'll feel
I have a question and plus about transition and about I see how different people do it, very different. Yeah, you will see now when I ask my question. So we do portrait. So I will straight, yeah, my face, my hip straight. I do here, I do this. So next step, I need to rotate just this and try to do this one way and it's totally different straighten. Or I need to like do this leg here and my hips already here to open and do this.
No, it's
People do very different.
you can. It's more of a moving from the Jani Shirshasana rather than resetting up, because then you kind of reset up in the same way.
So we're twisting.
You're opening. Yeah, that's the point of this one. You're opening, but not towards the leg, which was the slight twist. You might have felt the navel needing to get. You're opening and expanding.
So hips still forward. We just
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
So it's more about weight.
Waist. Yeah.
More
Yeah.
about weight.
You can. If you can also, I bet.
But it's again different posture.
Yeah.
It's already
Yeah.
your hips in the middle.
So
as I understand, it's three different postures.
I think it just depends on people's. Let me
It's not
check in with
about
Nord.
poses,
Yeah.
it's more
No.
about
Yeah.
which posture. It's three
Yeah.
different postures.
Where do?
show me how you told to enter the feet position, their leg position. Okay, so this is it. Then I think the Parivrita means that just as Janu Shirshasana, you enter like this and then you do the twist. While mine is the side one. So I open up the hips and go into it. You see the different hip position in there.
Aha. So wait, we're doing Paravita.
So
Yep.
I was doing Parsva in
Parsva.
my training and you're doing Parivrita.
Yep.
So that's the difference. So
Right.
I'll keep that in mind then.
Yeah.
Basically in yours you do a twist and then go in. While in mine, I just go in a side.
Right. There you go. There's your answer.
I didn't hear answer.
When you say it's Pavrita or Asta,
You're doing
actually
the
two
stable.
different schools. One is the one you show, and Pavrita is one.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an announcement. I've been getting a lot of questions about hip position, and we want to make a clarification. So right now, I'll show you two that we're working in Parivrita. And for this one, our hips are kind of going to stay more straight. If you were going into Parshva, it's going to be more open. Did I explain that right, Nord? Is that what we were talking about? Yeah. So it'll be more open. So right now we're working in Parivrita. You can write down the distinction. So I pulled up through my hip. Coming in more straight. If I was going into the other one, I'd open up. Parshva. Parvita and Parshva. Mm-hmm. Yes. No, we'll keep keeping it closed. I was getting a lot of questions about if I'm fully opening my hips or keeping it closed. So this one's a little more close. Yeah. Sorry for not clarifying that before. Engage both. Yeah, you want the heel pressing against the thigh, thigh pressing against the heel.
What would you suggest to someone when they say, "Oh, I can't do any forward fold anymore because my back is hurting so much and I'm getting frustrated"?
Just have them stay in Dandasana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just my friend actually constantly
Yeah.
asking me like, "Oh, I can't do it." So I assumed like she was doing it wrong, like not pushing her butt out and stuff.
Yeah.
But now she's like
She's
in
pushing
pain,
her
so
butt out. Was she pushing her butt out?
She wasn't.
She wasn't.
So that's why the pain maybe. But how do we?
It might be building strength back there. And let's see what other.
Because now she said I can't do anything anymore. So
You
it
can-
feels like she's really in pain. So how do we?
And also really frustrated.
Yeah.
So what we worked on yesterday, we did Padangustasana like that. I would do Supta Padangustasana with the strap, and that'll help her. So she doesn't have to forward fold at all here. But that'll start helping her open her hamstrings, which will end up starting to help her lower back.
So would you say tell her to do more things on the floor now, to just heal that and feel the strength?
Yeah. And then have her work in child's pose to just open and loosen the low back. What else? Yeah, those are my suggestions for right now. Yeah. And tell her strap, strap, strap. So
Ask
brilliant.
Vivian about that.
Yeah. No, that I think that makes perfect sense.
There it is. Like there's a twist over here.
Yeah. All right. We're looking. We can move on. That's great.
So this position, I think it's kind of similar to that opening to the side. Would you position your hip underneath you instead of going to the side? The lateral axial twist the spine, right?
Going into Ardha Matsyendrasana.
No, I mean the third one. The Parivrtta
Yeah.
Dhanasana, it means the spine goes both good and side.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ardha Matsyendrasana.
I still trip over it. Yeah. All right, we'll stop wrapping up here and move on to our next position. Going into Ardha Matsyendrasana. So let's say Ardha together. And then Matsi and Drasana. Matsyendrasana. And this pose, I believe it translates to Lord of the Fishes.
Yes.
Yeah. Lord of the Fishes. I'm not quite sure why.
It's yes. So the myth goes that the Hatha Yoga was introduced to people from Matsyendra who grew up inside a fish due to unrelated circumstances, and basically Shiva was teaching his wife Hatha Yoga, and he wanted to hide it from all the people, so he took her far down into the water. So under the water they created a bubble, and she was teaching Hatha Yoga. While Matsyendra inside of the fish was standing just around and spied and looked Hatha Yoga, how does it look? And then brought it to people. So the position that he's in, you'll find out that he's quite like crumbled up.
Yeah.
There's not much space inside the fish. And the hand is of him listening.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'll show you here. What does Ardha mean? Right. Yep. Have. So for Ardha Matsyendrasana, we're going to start in Dandasana, it's the Tadasana of the sitting poses. I'll take my right knee here, bringing it up and crossing it over my left, drawing it in as close to the body as possible, as long as I can keep the elongation of my spine. Some people will just stay here. And then if you're okay in your knee, you might be able to bend this knee backwards, getting the heel close to the glutes. But if there's any knee problems, you want to advise your students to keep that knee straight. Also, if you start lifting up, Pee-wee did say it's okay to lift up just a little, but you don't want to be leaning too much because then you'll start, spine will start going the other way and we won't be lifting all the way up. So we'll be here in our really crumbled up pose. Maybe you'll suck the navel in, drawing more elongation and length in the spine. Drawing your right arm back. Inhaling, left arm comes up. And then you can either place it here if you're working here. You can hook around. Or there's a bind here. You clasp through the legs, making sure to roll the shoulder back. And I'm not that warm right now, but grabbing hold behind your back. Sitting up straight and tall. Making sure if anyone's going into the bind, you see them clasping, their shoulder rolling forward or hunched back here. You don't want to do the bind. Also, what can be done if someone's sitting here hunched or sitting here hunched. We've already done it in a few of the others. Always prop up. I think props in seated positions are very, very helpful for tight low backs, tight hamstrings. All right? Any questions on this before I send you? Yep. Yep. Yeah, so for twists, you don't want to be practicing twists when you're pregnant or twists traditionally when you're pregnant because the belly is going to start compressing and getting in the way. So modifications when you're pregnant would be opening up the other direction, feeling expansion the other way.
It is correct if I put and I place my hands like that because like they're
Yeah, you can also place your hands on the other, completely around. Lord of the Fishes. Lord of the Fish, Lord of the Fishes.
but in like a regular yoga class, I never heard you take them to Lord.
What would they say? Seated twist. Seated twist. Fish. There's so many different ways. Like coming to Bali is really like expanded because different countries do so many different things. Yep. I don't even know what it is in San. It's just always been wild thing.
It's such a beautiful translation. And then
I guess. Yep. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna have you do partner work. Nord, can you come on up here and I'll show you a really nice adjustment you can do with your partners here. Yeah, just go ahead. Maybe kind of clasp. Maybe don't look perfect. Okay, so you'll come around and you'll just help them draw their shoulder back and down. Kind of drawing this one a little bit forward and this shoulder back and roll, kind of just petting the shoulder blade down the back because a lot of people will crunch up on a lot of seated twists. So you'll just help them. It's even gentle. A lot of people will get it. You can also you can totally hug your knee if that's where you're working. Can you hug your knee as well? Yep, and then just opening here. All right, fly off, little butterflies. Yep, feet is as planted as possible. Butt cheeks are on the ground as much as possible. But again, as Pee Wee said, our pelvis will move just a little bit and it can come up slightly, but not too much. And if your butt cheek does start moving too much, it's beneficial to sit on a block or a cushion. Do you know why it's so important? I think it'll just keep you grounded and stable. Right? That's right, right?
I mean, it would be a general answer.
Yeah.
But if my foot is off, I'm losing balance in my back.
Right. So, Felina, you could just come up with Lord, Nord and I. Lord of the Fish. So watch. We were just talking that if his foot starts coming up, go ahead.
I lose.
He's starting to lean, and his back is starting
not
to tip.
coming up. I mean, like to. You can also just, instead of putting it completely down, you can also just do it like that. So, relax.
Going into cow?
That's coming into a completely different pose, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going for a twist, I suppose you can combine that. But then this gives me a good leverage to carry on into the pose deeper. And this is the Arda position, right? Because the full one is going off of here. So you would not be able to access the full one if you do this one.
Yeah, so we're working with our foot down, but you know, as you practice and start knowing your body, you add your own little flair. But for teaching purposes. Oh gosh, you make my knees hurt.
Oh yeah.
But it's like the full Matsyendrasana would require you, it makes sense in the full pose. That's what you're going
That you
for
keep
in
planted.
the half pose.
But under here,
Yeah.
rotating externally the hip when we place it here.
Yeah. It's still
I'll
so.
go on to.
Wait. Yeah.
So you
It's more actually. It's more like everything is squeezing in the midline. Here, actually, I'll make an announcement of bandhas right now. I want to add, we haven't really talked about bandhas, and I think Evelina is going to go over that more next week with you. But I brought up maybe to a few of you the Mula Bandha yesterday, and the Mula Bandha is the pelvic floor muscle that Pee-wee was helping you find. And something that Pee-wee really likes to say, that's so funny that I just started picking it up, is you just close all the holes downstairs, tightening everything, and that helps you find your Mula Bandha. So whenever you're in these poses, kind of tighten everything, you'll feel a little lift within it, helping get your spine straighter. Question? Just chilling.
About the English terms again, the ones we did before, like this is the sitting. Do you say sitting mountain? No.
Staff pose.
Staff.
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 STAFF. But yeah, you don't say sitting mountain, but so mountain pose is a blueprint pose for all of the poses. If you notice, we're trying to hug in, our legs are strong, our four corners of the feet. So there's a bit of mountain pretty much in everything that we do. Same thing about Dandasana. And that's why I called it the Tadasana on the floor. So you're rolling in, you're flexed, you're straight and tall.
And the following two, I didn't catch it. Like
So it's a terrible translation. It's head to knee pose.
head
But
to knee.
yeah, but we're not trying to get our head to our knee. We're trying to
Okay.
get our chest to our knee and our head more over our toes.
To knee and the other one.
You have impressively small writing.
I try to fit as much as I can.
Yeah. And then Paravita is twisted head to knee pose,
Okay.
which sounds even worse because it then twisting knees and head.
I feel like here I missed some too. Like this is the seated standing half lotus, or would I like the standing? Is this the
So
standing half lotus?
Nadarandasana. Yep, standing half
And
lotus.
this is the seated, I would say.
That's standing toe, lotus toe balance. Standing lotus toe. Let me look that up.
It's not more intuitive to just because you sit down.
Half lotus toe balance.
Okay. Toe balance. Why?
So eventually, you're coming down here, and then you'll lift your toe, and then kind of sit on your butt. My hips are a little. I've very open hamstrings, tight hips. But that's where you're going. Yeah.
I wanted to ask if you use during your classes the probes under your butt in Janu Shasana. Does it work? Because
Yeah, you can. If the knee is floating, just have them prop their
under
knee
the
as
knees,
as
but
well.
do you
But
use it
yeah,
under the butt as well?
mhm.
Because I haven't
You
seen.
teach, right? Or you have taught? You haven't seen it. It's just if you're ever dumping in the low back, it just come up, and if they just are kind of hanging out here, that's where they're hanging out.
Yeah, but actually, lots of, especially guys, they're so stiff
Right.
like this.
Exactly.
If it's comfortable to bend, if they have the flop under the butts, if they can
Bending the knee.
maybe bend the knee.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if I'd recommend bending the knee there because they're not gonna fold forward really anyway. So just holding the strap and holding their body up straight. Mhm.
Maybe here two more. These two. Uttadasana. No. Uttita
Utthita
Hasta.
Hasta. So extended. What is that? Extended, not head to knee. Head to toe. I think it's extended head to toe. Uttita. I just want to make sure I'm giving you the exact.
Uttita Hasta Padangasthasana.
Extended hand to big toe.
Hand
Hand to big toe.
to
And then twisted hand to big toe.
twisted. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Just a couple more minutes here, so make sure you do both sides. How you guys doing?
What is the name of this Basrika?
Basrika, yeah.
And we do inhale, exhale.
Your inhale is as forceful as your exhale, whereas Kapalabhati is just the exhale and natural inhale.
Sometimes we do, it's like kind of Basrika because here, even in Basrika, we don't have about arms anything. It's possible to do,
Yeah,
but this is better.
that it helps you kind of get the forceful stiffness.
If I right remember, I don't know, maybe you notice, it's best to like a little bit to hit how it's
Hit your
ribs.
your sides. Yeah, I don't know. If that helps you feel into it more, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I think I'd more go to the side.
No, no, to the side, but to go down and a little bit hitting rib. I really try to remember it somehow. I remember it from somewhere.
From somewhere. Okay, that it helps ignite maybe the digestive system.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
there we go.
Because it's
Yeah, and we'll be doing that one a lot more too, and with Evelina, and I think Pee Wee has a couple pranayama sessions too.
you will do pranayama.
Yeah, I have a couple. I have pranayama next week, and then a couple on the last.
And like my idea when people already know what to do, it's better, as I see, to not open eyes every time. In this case, you will go deeper, and after this, you
Yeah.
because I'm already trying.
You already know. Yeah, that makes sense. I forget that you and maybe Soggy and a couple people.
No, I mean when you already
my
know the
question.
people knows next step, so maybe you don't tell them to open your eyes. It's just for your advice for your next classes.
Thank you.
Because it's really helps people to go very deep, and after this to meditate, even 5 minutes, it will be very deep.
Okay. Thank you. That's actually really good feedback.
And I already do like this,
And I'm like,
at the
open
end,
your eyes. Right. I'll just keep your eyes closed, and I just see like so many eyes looking at me actually, and I'm like, okay, open eyes then. I'm like, hey guys. uh, yes.
How important is the shoulder straightness in this? Can I, because I see some students going into it
Mhm.
and doing this.
No, they want.
I suppose I want them to have the shoulder and chest straight.
Mhm.
So, like, is it better for them just to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Nord came up to me with a good point. He saw some of you, in order to fully, wait, where am I? To fully come across your leg, you were crunching your shoulder. Your shoulders started crunching, and you lost the expansion of your chest. And if that happens to be the case, and you feel your shoulders rolling inwards, you just want to stay here. So if you start kind of going like this, then you've lost it. You're bent, you're crunched, your lungs are starting to collapse in. So just stay here. Thank you, assistant.
So thrilling.
All right, we'll move on over to the next pose.
I think next time I'll sit and you speak.
All right, the next one, we're going to come back to our staff pose. Come back into Dandasana. So everybody up, up, up. Or not fully up, but up, 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 up. I just see a lot of people lying down. So come up to a seated position, legs out straight. Find your Dandasana, hands by your side. And then the next pose, it's called Paschimottanasana. So ready, you can repeat after me. Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana. And this is a seated forward fold. So I said Dandasana is like Tadasana seated. This one would be more like Uttanasana on your seat. So I'll demonstrate here. Inhaling, extension of the spine, coming all the way up. The back of your neck's long, chin parallel. And then slowly start tipping at the hips, coming forward, 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 till your chest starts rounding. You want to stay with the straightness. And then maybe reaching towards your toes. And then if you have your toes, you can bend your elbows and then help yourself flat, come forward. It's kind of trying to get your chest towards your thighs. And if you're having a hard time reaching towards your toes or getting your chest towards your thighs, a slight bend, just like in Janu Shirshasana, will help. And then you'll extend forward and then straighten if you can. If not, you just kind of live there. Strap is a beautiful prop in this pose. Putting it around your toes or the balls of your feet. Sitting tall and just bending your elbows outwards. But again, if you notice, my shoulders are back and down. My chest is wide, even when I come forward. You want to keep that extension of your chest, your lungs. Your shoulder blades are rolling down your back. Your shoulders are away from your ears. Thighs are engaged. You don't want it loose, because then you'll start getting into your low back. So feet flexed, toes pointing toward the ceiling will help you engage your quads. They're internally rotating here. And again, some of you might need to sit, or some of your students that you teach might need to sit on a block to help from preventing the dump or the tilt of the low back. So it might, and some people might just be here. Some people might be here, and some people might be going all the way to their thighs. Yeah, you can. So here, from here, maybe floint, and then I'd floint and then straight. But you don't want, and then put it back up. Maybe floint, so knees, floint, kind of floint it down when you push down and then come back up.
And is there ever a time when if you go forward with a flat back, once you get to that point, then you like...
Then you do full, yeah. So you'll see it, remove the sitting bones like in Tadasana. So inhale up, exhale, come down. That's probably where I'd go. I'll grab hold and then help fold me down even deeper. So you do end up doing a little curve at the end. Yeah. And then you'll see. It's more it's huge here and as well as low back. It'll become a not so great stretch on the back if you start rounding. And that's not what we want. If you do get low, but not completely low, you can put a block between your knees, helping you rest your head on something while you kind of work within the pose. Also, we don't have them here, but bolsters are really great. Have you guys seen those bolsters? You can put it into your stomach and then just and rest here. And yeah, those are more in restorative classes. Because you want to make sure you're able to bend forward through the hips first. So what?
So I cannot do it. So.
Okay, so you want to make sure you're bending from the hips first, from the crease here before you start bending up here. So let's do it. You just start bending there. Yeah, so that's where you are, right? Okay, so if you just start folding forward, you're gonna completely always miss the bend here, and it'll start straining in your low back after a while. And then you won't be working your hamstrings either as much. Makes sense?
I guess. But yeah, because
I might even sit on a tiny cushion, like just this ever so slightest, just to get more of that pelvic tilt forward. Did that? I saw you even straighten up a little taller. Yep. Use the strap.
But yeah, but like with these, we do not bend forward, but
Yeah. Because you're working on opening up down here and here.
so only if you reach a certain angle, then you pull yourself forward.
Yes.
Okay. How do
Yeah, I see a sad face.
No, I mean, yeah, well, how do I know when the angle's right?
You'll feel it. You'll start feeling more open down here.
But this position itself, is this good to open, or do I mean, I would probably have to do other exercises to open hips
And that's what a lot of exercises are working on. Yeah. Yeah.
This is not gonna do the job, this one alone, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing we do a whole sequence when we practice asana. Emotional body.
Oh yeah, I had very interesting dreams.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I woke up gloomy, screaming.
Really? Ah, so starting to come up and you're like, that's where I'm at today.
I enjoy that.
It's all part
It's
of
a
a
good
process.
sign.
Yeah, it really is.
It's working.
And then tomorrow you guys have a day to rest and digest.
Yeah.
Okay, what time is it? Time. But that's the beauty of it. We're starting to get to know our bodies better.
So I don't have to have the impression that I want to let, like, I feel like I want to relax those, to be able to.
I'm trying to think. But you relax, you flop, and I'm feeling a dump here. And maybe you will like
engage this one.
these ones. Yep, these ones are loose. Yeah, because I've noticed maybe you're more comfortable keeping it loose because this is kind of where you live. You're sitting a little more rounded and you're like, oh, this is more comfortable than working the muscles of the back and keeping you up, and then quads, hamstrings. It feels like so much work.
It feels like conquer, I don't know. Like
Well, it's
against my logic.
getting our mind to work in different ways too. Flexibility everywhere. All right, I have 2 more poses in the sequence I want to make sure we get through so I can get you out to breakfast on time. And then I had a question about a pose that was done in your sequence with Rohil last night. I'm going to try to get to if there's time. So, Parsvottanasana. And Parsvottanasana is upward facing plank. And there's 2 ways you can do this pose, and it'll just depend on strength and flexibility as in both poses, I suppose. Actually, here, no, or can you come up? So he starts from Dandasana. Yep. Shoulder blades down back. Point feet. And then using his arm strength and his hips to lift himself up. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sorry, and then you'll move, start from Dandasana, move your hands elbows distance behind you. Opening your chest and then lifting up, pointing the toes down. Thighs are rotating inwards, engaged, hips are coming up. Sorry, hands under shoulders. Thank you, Nord. You don't wanna throw your neck too back. You'll start what P was talking about. You'll cut off circulation. You want to keep it more in line. You'll start learning about Jalandhara Bandha, almost like you're holding a tennis ball underneath your head. Can you show the modified version as well? It's the bent knees, yeah. And then here is the modified upwards table, I suppose, table plank. Table plank.
So for the table plank, it's from Dandasana, bending the knees and hips, and from the other one.
Yes. Thank you. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Nord. So if the table plank is helpful to get started and building strength and flexibility in your chest. Your hands are facing your feet. Your triceps are rolling back. Yeah. And toes are aspiring towards the floor. Big toe is trying to point down as well. It's trying to stay on the floor. So everything rotates in. You want to bring that energy to the midline. It's like a counter pose to the forward folds. To the Paschimottanasana, then we're expanding and extending upwards. Opening the chest, mini back bend as well. So, thank you. Yeah, feet it's challenging. Yeah, feet are trying to be flat on the floor. So toes pointed, feet coming flat on the floor is the full expression of the pose. Yeah, Sabri, you need to bring your hug internally rotate, everything coming in towards the midline. Right. And then it's easier to work coming into the midline from tabletop position. So then you can really engage coming inwards, making sure to stamp the toes down, and then opening the shoulders and chest. And then you wouldn't really extend. You do one or the other, and then you can start, yeah.
find it in the menu. Where should I look?
It's because it's Purva Uttana Asana manual.
Yeah.
The full name is the first one, and you'll find that the shortened one's in the middle. So you want to look for the name in the middle.
But where is it? I think it's
In the inversions, unbalancing. Purvottanasana.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick and then move on. Oh. So Paschimottanasana, yep, seated forward fold. The head? Okay, so you don't want to throw it back. You want to keep, so Jalandhara Bandha, it's almost, I'll walk you through it, you'll learn it next week. So you bring your chin to your chest, and then kind of bring it up like you're holding a tennis ball underneath. It's just a throat lock. That's typically, but if you don't want to like really try to think too hard about Jalandhara Bandha, it's just keeping it in the natural line. You just not throwing it back.
So we're kind of engaging it, right?
Yeah, a little bit. You got to engage it just a little bit. All right, baby, one more minute here.
It's better to your leg like this.
Yes. So, what you want to bend your elbow, make it one elbow's distance apart, because so come down onto your elbows. Yeah, and maybe draw your hands a little more up. So elbows under shoulder. And now you want to put your hands where your elbow is. Hand where elbow is. Yep. Yep. And then rotating back.
And the head, eh?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Very nice. Yep, the head stays even a little more up and forward. Or chin down. A little more chin down, yeah. Very nice. Nice. That's a challenge. It always hurts my arches. And I have such high arches, and I get my toe down. I'm like, oh, my arch. But no. You want to keep your chin kind of tucked. Because what Pee Wee was talking, that putting your head back, it'll start like constricting blood flow to your brain.
So the right way to say is like chin tuck.
Chin tuck, yeah, chin tuck.
And just the simple directions to don't confuse the people will be like I always try to do 3, but I was aware like because some people teach you like just overextend. But I think
Yeah, and it's never overextend. You never want it to.
because even like if you see it in the thing, look.
Yeah, but he's not like completely flicked back. There's still space between his neck and his, yeah.
Maybe this
It's-
is not the best example, but
Yeah. Because it can be like a little, but no, you don't want your neck. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Like
Just
I
so.
was thinking it was like a back bend.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
stretch it, but I was wondering if it's like that or in level 1 just top your chin, and if you want to go deeper, just like.
Yeah, it's kind of a progression. I'm teaching it more chin tuck just so people get into the habit of not throwing their head back because it's hard to describe that little in between. All right, no problem. All right, we're gonna come to our last pose. I'll use Nord again. It's called Baddha Konasana. So we'll start with Baddha Konasana. Yeah, or Baddha Konasana. Baddha Konasana. And this is basically translated to what you're familiar with as butterfly pose. Yeah, and so basically Nord will start here. He'll externally rotate, grabbing the inside of one thigh, the inside of the other thigh, bringing the bottoms of his feet together, sitting up straight and tall. It's really important to make sure they're not rounding the low back here, and if they are, you'll just sit them on a prop. Yep. And basically, for the first phase, you just extend your chest, maybe bending the elbows, or keeping the arms straight. Sorry, you had your hands around your toes, sitting up straight and tall. And if you feel comfortable here, and if it's in your ability, you can start bending forward and opening the insoles of your feet apart. Coming down towards the feet. And eventually some people can get their head on the floor or belly towards their feet, but a lot of people kind of live here or even stay seated upright. So you can test that out, test the different positions. You have anything to add?
No, I'm good. When I was exercising, I found it good to stretch myself forward to keep my back straight, but this is my invention.
And it's good to have our own inventions. Yeah. For now, we'll work with it closer to you, but not just. I usually sit on a block for this one. Close enough to feel like a stretch. There's what's the other one called? Diamond pose. I understand. There's diamond pose where you have the leg further out and just bend forward. But for now, we're working with the legs closer. Back will stay straight until you get to the very tippy bottom, and then, but for me, I'll stay here. I'll stay on my block, and I'll stay with a straight back. Because if I start bending forward, I'm collapsing my chest and starting to strain the low back. Very straight back. All right, so you get practice just for a couple of minutes, and then I'll demonstrate one more pose before Shavasana. I'd almost sit on a block.
It's the hips, isn't it?
Yeah, it's starting to tuck back. Does that feel better? Because you look straighter. You look a lot more straight.
Block like temporarily, or is it
It'll just be a progression of your practice. Yeah, and like I said, maybe the first day, there's different structure of our bones. The way that they're either more open and the hip sockets come out here, or it's more closed here, and on a block forever. But if your hips are open, if you have open socket, then you can work towards getting further down. Don't get discouraged. Like I said, I use the block for this one all the time, and I'm still just like working my straight back, my open hips.
from a child?
Yeah, and think of when you're younger too, and your bones are more malleable. Like how your walking is going to determine how closed or open your hips get, and yeah. All right. This pose isn't part of my lesson sequence, but I was approached with a question about another seated pose and how to safely get into it, and I feel like it's really important for me to explain this pose. And it's Virasana. You did it with Rohil last night, and that's the one where you're sitting between your heels. So a lot of people will have, I think Pee Wee even demonstrated, will be like sitting above the ground, and as she said, that's really, really horrible for your knees, and you're not being supported. So I'll show you the techniques to get into it, and I'll show you what props can be used to help it. It's called Virasana, or Hero's Pose, or Supta Virasana is what we'll get to. Yeah, sure.
So you can speak on.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Nora's going to come onto his knees. And he'll move his feet out to the outer edge. We'll stay standing up just a little bit. The feet will come just slightly outside of his hips. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have him move the flesh of his calf out of the way. So he'll bend down, moving the flesh, and then he'll have a seat in between his heels. Can you get to the ground?
Yes.
Okay, great. So once he's at the ground, I'm going to have him lift his kneecaps, or with his hands. So he'll pull the flesh of his kneecaps. That'll help give you more space and within your quadricep, and so it's not feeling as strenuous there. How does that feel?
I feel my calves a lot here.
Do you usually move them?
No.
Yeah, so some people, I like to teach it that you move it away because you can get even lower like that. But here you see he's sitting in between his heels, his back is straight, and he's comfortable. But if you start feeling if it doesn't feel good on your knees, if it doesn't feel good on your low back, can you sit up again? You take a block this way and put it in between your feet, and you rest on that. And if that's still not enough for your knees, something I should mention, thank you, Phil. For this pose, your knees are together. For this Yep. Your knees are together. And if that's still not enough, you can use, can you sit up again? Another prop. And if you're still having, from here, this position, if it's still hard on your knees, let's stick you in there. And that'll be for your students that have extra tight quadriceps, extra tight low backs. But I think this pose gets taught a lot, and I don't think it can really harm your knees if you don't get into it properly, because everyone just wants to, okay, I want to get on the ground and then I want to start lying back, and you'll pop and twist, and you have to be very careful because there's this slight out coming side of the line anyway. Yeah. And this pose is actually really good for the bottom of your feet and really good for extending the top. Oh, is it bony? Bony? You can wrap up a towel or something and place it on this part. Yeah, it'll help with the bone until you're more stretched. Toes pointing, yeah, heels out, toes pointing towards the back of the room. Yeah, you want your top of your foot as flat as possible. And then Nord, so we'll take away your props. And then come into the full Virasana right here. And then I think I was informed that you did this last night, Supta Virasana. You'll gently and mindfully start coming back. And say you can't come back this far because it's going to start hurting in the low back, start hurting in the quadriceps, come back up. And you can just either just start by going back on your hands, staying there. Next step would be go down to your elbows. And stay, and keep your, for this specific one, keep the knees together. There's other variations as well, but I wanted to teach knees together here. I've also been in classes where if you're having trouble keeping your knees together, you can wrap a strap around your knees, and that'll help hug the knees in and help train them to stay in towards the midline. That's a classical, traditional way to do it. I think also when you start splaying your knees out, because I've been in a class where they constantly teach that, okay, your knees can be wherever, but when you get your knees together and then the feet are coming towards each other, you'll start pinching your low back. So you'll just start going back and start pinching here the more you continue to go down. When your knees are straight forward, you can lift up and over rather than just coming from the low back.
I think maybe that's why the more correct instructions should keep the knees
Exactly.
together. Because if you say keep your knees together, I'm trying to like really keep them together. Go in. So
Well, that's an actual different pose if you're sitting on your feet. That's Vajrasana. And then that's a good meditative pose. But this one is, we're working other ways. Yeah, Kelly. Very slowly. Whenever you're coming into back bends, it's very slowly, very mindfully. Never fling yourself back. All right. Thank you. All right, that was your extra credit bonus pose for today. Virasana, hero's pose. Virasana, and when you go lie down, it's Supta Virasana, because Supta means reclining. Asana is pose. It's just the sitting. All right, and from here, maybe your knees just a little closer together. Yeah. Like touching. Yeah. And then feet coming towards the side. And then you might need to sit on a block. All right. Once you're done writing, we'll remove all the things from your mat and come into Shavasana. Tighter. tight here, or it'll be really tight here. Yeah, no problem. I would start sitting on a block to get your body used to it. Yeah, definitely sit on a block. And that's what this pose isn't for everybody too. If you have knee problems or. All right. So once you're in Shavasana, just start taking a few really big deep breaths. And maybe let's take one really big deep inhale together. And exhale, sigh it out. Deep inhale here. And a big sigh out your mouth. Finding your way back to normal breathing. Feel your body against the earth. The backs of your heels and the backs of your palms on the ground, your shoulder blades, and your head. And maybe making a note of the space between your eyebrows. And if there's any tension there, finding a way to soften. Bringing attention to your cheeks and allowing them to melt down your face. And noticing your mouth. Are you clenching your jaw? Are your teeth together? Or is the tongue at the roof of your mouth? Find a place to soften even further. Maybe swallowing any saliva that's left in your mouth. Gently parting your lips. Taking note of the way your breath is entering your body. Being the observer, no judgment. Noticing any sounds around you, any scents. Letting all the knowledge that you've learned sink into your cells, sink into your system. And gently starting to deepen your breath. Maybe wiggling your fingers and wiggling your toes. And maybe rolling your head from side to side, slowly but mindfully. And when you're ready, rolling on over to one side. And eventually pushing yourself up into a seated position. Noticing how your body feels, your emotions, your thoughts. And sitting up straight and tall, placing our palms in heart center and Anjali Mudra. Maybe coming back to your intention. Maybe placing a slight smile on your face for showing up and doing such hard work this morning. Maybe even sending a little thank you to your cohort, your peers, for learning and growing together in this space. Thank you to Mama Bali for hosting us. And we'll gently inhale here. Exhale completely. And inhale for one soft Om. And namaste. Thank you for another beautiful morning. Thank you for your hard work, your great questions. We're learning and growing together. Thank you. So thank you. So yeah, let's go eat breakfast.